In this video, we'll be discussing the potential for severe weather on Sunday, March 24th in the central states of the U.S., as well as tomorrow on Monday, March 25th in parts of the southeast and Iowa, and the potential for a major blizzard in parts of northern U.S. getting 12 to 18 inches or more. So let's dive right in. Today, we're discussing the slight risk of severe weather with all hazards on the table, covering parts of Kansas and into Oklahoma. It does include a 5% risk for tornadoes in this area of Kansas, covering the city of Wichita. Tomorrow, we have a slight risk covering much of the state of Louisiana and Mississippi and parts of Texas and southern Arkansas. It covers all hazards from tornadoes to hail and wind. And we do have also a marginal risk in parts of Iowa for the potential for some tornadoes and some wind and hail as well on the lower end of the threat. I do think that this area is going to really have to watch for an upgrade in this potential risk. Additionally, we have a big fire risk covering parts of the panhandle of Texas and Oklahoma into Kansas, all the way down to the Mexico and Texas border. This is a critical fire risk, and fire danger is elevated and very high here, so we'll keep an eye on that. So taking a look at the 500 millibar map, this is showing the winds and heights well up where the planes fly, and this is showing our storm system here as it ejects off to the northeast. And look at the insane amount of high-level winds we've got coming into this region right in here. And right ahead of that trough is where you're going to see the best dynamics for severe weather. Moving down again to the 850 millibar level, this is showing your winds at 5,000 feet off the ground, and this shows our low-level jet. This is going to help pull in moisture off the Gulf of Mexico and is basically our tornado juice. And anywhere where you see these brighter colors here, that's going to indicate where you've got maximum shear in the region. And as you can see, as we move it throughout Sunday into Monday here, we can see that low-level jet really take over in this region for the first risk today. And into tomorrow, it really ramps up here all throughout the day. And this is really something I'm closely watching for a potential uptick in severe weather, perhaps more than a slight risk would warrant. As I showed, that 850 millibar jet is going to help pull up the moisture, and this is reflected very well here at the surface. These are going to be 60-degree dew points, which is very moist air that is perfect for tornadoes and wind and severe weather in general. And you can see here throughout, as I move it through Sunday, you could see those 50s at least getting up into this region, which is something to watch for. The moisture is not as impressive up here, but we do have the cold air in the mid and upper levels to make up for it. Because what happens is when you get cold air over warm air, you get a very unstable profile. And even if you don't have a whole lot of moist air at the surface that can more easily rise, you could still get severe weather hazards in this region. It will be made up for by cold air, but watching these dew points to see if they can get a little bit higher than what is shown here. Further to the south, we've got these 60-degree dew points for Monday's risk, and even a couple of 70s sprouting in here. And that is going to be very healthy for big-time severe weather of all hazards. Tornadoes, hail, and wind is certainly all on the table for this day. Getting a look here for Sunday, we've got this elevated area of significant tornado parameter that forms right here along this dry line, the impetus for our storms, and will essentially move off to the north and east with our storms. And that is going to be something to watch. If these better conditions can align with our storm mode and our storm track right in here, and I'll show you that in a minute, then that could promote some more prolonged severe weather all the way throughout this entire region. Pulling up those storms, this is the reflectivity simulated off the 0Z HRRR, one of the high-resolution model runs. And in this particular model, there are a couple storms that form here, once again, along that dry line. That's going to be the place to watch. And they do move off to the north and east, ejecting with that trough. But these storms generally outrun those better conditions that stay a little further to the south along that dry line. And that could be more of the problem. And again, it's something to watch to see if the risk may be a little bit higher than what is currently indicated on modeling. Moving down to the southern risk for Monday, for tomorrow, this is showing again that significant tornado parameter And you can see how it really kind of takes over in parts of Louisiana here. And that is going to be the place to watch. The most likely time for best tornado potential is probably going to be in the late afternoon hours here in Louisiana as it shifts further to the east with time. This won't necessarily be an overnight event, probably. So that is good news for this region. But nonetheless, a tornado threat still exists during the daytime hours. Again, this is showing the simulated reflectivity off the same model run a little bit later in its time frame. So this is prone to change. Same with the other image we had before. This isn't going to nail down exactly where our storms are going to form, but this will give you an approximate timetable. We're going to probably have some sort of a line moving here through eastern Texas throughout the morning hours on Monday, on tomorrow. And we may have these prefrontal cells, if we can get these to form out ahead. They could be the big tornado producers. And then eventually the line-embedded tornadoes will probably happen here in Mississippi as we get a stronger. So certainly watching these prefrontal supercells for the chance for some more longer-lived tornadoes, as the shear will be more than adequate, and certainly going to also watch the thermodynamic parameters. Switching it up, we do have that major snowstorm going on in the north, and along with this, on the northern side of that trough, and this is probably going to dump anywhere from, again, 12 to 18 inches throughout this entire region, and widespread 6+ here. This is going to be a very prolonged period of winter weather throughout this region, and that is going to make for some travel headaches all along here, and also going to have to watch for potentially a little bit of freezing rain throughout this region, really right along that gradient. And it's going to be important to watch where that gradient sets up, particularly for Minneapolis, located here. They could see as low as 5 inches of snow, or they could see 12, depending on if this can shift just a little south, and depends on the banding as well. Just to give a quick timing on those winter weather impacts here, we've got the storms starting really right now as I'm recording this, but when this is uploaded, snow will break out across this whole region, remain heavy. I'm going to watch that rain-snow line, and certainly, once again, that ice and freezing rain kind of breaks out here in Iowa, goes away, and then perhaps some on the backside here in Nebraska as well. So really watching this whole region here on the southern side for potential mixing problems and travel headaches. Speaking of snowstorms, we did just have a snowstorm up in the northeast, and we've had incredible power outages in this region. Hundreds of thousands of people without power due to this system, most unfortunately. And this has dropped, some places have seen nearly an inch of ice accretion, especially in parts of New York and Massachusetts. And other parts of New York and Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine have seen very high snowfall amounts, talking 18 inches to 20 inches. Even some places 2 feet or more in this region, and still snowing quite hard in Maine. And this has been unfortunately timed with a strengthening low pressure up the coast, and we've also had some very intense rainfalls over the southern New England areas, and I'll get into those numbers in just a second. But first, this is some of the snowfall analysis we've had so far. More snow has fallen since here, but we've seen widespread. Again, this is the foot-plus zone right in here in these magenta colors and these reds. And this just goes to show incredible amount of snow that we've seen in this region. This really kind of underdoes the amount of snow we've seen in this region. I've seen reports far higher than what we're seeing here, but this just gives a general idea of the corridor of heaviest snow. Unfortunately, we've also dealt with flooding across parts of New York City and into southern New England. The areas really south of here have seen rain, and north of there has been mostly snow. But in this region here, we've seen quite a bit of rain all throughout here. Even places seeing, 4 to 5 inches in this region, in the reds here, 3 to 4, 4 to 5 inches. And also parts of central New Jersey has seen quite a bit of rain. And this area is already very wet, so flooding, there has been some flooding reports and flooding concerns that certainly will have been exacerbated by this particular rainstorm. So that is the forecast, a very busy forecast, and thank you so much for watching. If you did, you may enjoy this video here on the screen. So also give this video a like and subscribe. Thank you so much.